Good evening. Thank you very much for joining in, and welcome to our. This is our sixth session, I think, on 6 Digits program. Thank you very much for taking interest. I hope all of you are enjoying good health and enjoying the 6 Digit session as well. So, a couple of important announcements, and then I'll ask Asad Rafiq to come in and share his experiences from the last unmoderated session. So Feroz has shared some with me. I want to hear from Asad, and then I'll have to say a few things to you. After that, we will start discussing our next topic of the day, and that is now going to be. I mean, we have done uh, the 30-second introduction. We've done goal setting. We've done focused questions. Now we're going to switch over to um, business ideas, and that's a very, very important domain, um, particularly for people who have an aspiration to run their own business, have their own setup in place, come up with disruptive ideas, come up with very interesting startup ideas and things like that. So we will be joined by Sajid Aslam, who's going to lead a few sessions, and then we will bring in some ACCA members also to come in and discuss with you the the different contents of the program of about business ideas. So first of all, without any further ado, I heard some of the conversations on Saturday, but I would want to bring in Asad, who was the leader of that session, to come in and share his opinion. Asad, I'm going to unmute you. You can unmute yourself and speak. But before you go on, let me say a few words. Let me tell you that if you still have this fear of things, fear of being put in the spotlight, fear of what will happen, what will people say. If you have those fears within you, this is the best time to give those up. This is the best time to take a plunge. This is the best time to take on more responsibility, be in the spotlight, be very, very active, and and try to make an impact. And this confidence that you're going to gain from these sessions, I can tell you, this is going to go a long way in showing a difference, showing an impact, at your workplace as well. So I am also going to open up our questions dialog box, so that will be visible to you in a bit. I'm just going to share it right over here. Just give me a second for that. And here we go. Yes, Asad, are you ready to share your experience? What we noticed, Feroz was explaining this to me. What we noticed was that people were not willing to become group leaders or session leaders. People were hesitant. Um, they thought this is a difficult position to be in. Um, but actually, it is something that you should enjoy doing. This is something that you should be encouraged to do. So, Asad, what was your feeling when you were brought in? Um, you had not planned to become a session leader, but when you became one, how was that? How was it in the beginning versus how was it towards the end? Did you have an idea or a plan in mind on how you're going to run it? So, Asad, if you have your microphone working, I have unmuted you already. Please try and unmute yourself and see if
Hello, Assalamu
you.
alaikum. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, Asad, we can hear you.
First of all, Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Yes, I have no preparation about being the group leader.
Hmm.
When I noticed that nobody is coming coming in front, so I thought why I should have come first, because if you are put into the sport light, I think you
Hmm.
get exposure. So that's why I decided to come next. And
Yeah.
one thing I noticed in the previous session, that the contribution was not as much as I was expecting. Uh,
Hmm.
okay, for the first session, it can be understood that that was the first session. People might have not known about it, but the second one contribution should be higher in second session, unmoderated session. So it was a great
Hmm.
experience. Although I did not prepare my OPA model very much, it was just a basic one. But I have learned a lot from my fellows, especially from Daniel. He prepared a amazing OPA model, and
Hmm.
uh, Zahra. I think it's a great experience for me. That's it from my side.
Okay. Thank you very much, Asad. You've nailed it. You've said it all very appropriately. So, number one, becoming a leader of the group, and number two, sharing your objectives, sharing your plans. Let other people discuss it. Let other people suggest improvements to it. Once again, it's an excellent opportunity. Usually there are 40, 50 individuals in the unmoderated session as well, or even if fewer. There should actually be a competition between who should speak. I'm going to get an opportunity. Will I get an opportunity or not? This is exactly the environment that you will face in your workplace. And if you're not prepared for that, yeah, if you're not prepared to fight for your turn to speak, then other people will leave you behind. Then you will become irrelevant in time, and people might
So
start
I
thinking
have a
that
suggestion here for unmoderated session. Can I speak?
just give me 1 second, let me just finish and then I'll hand over to you.
Okay,
So
okay, sure.
yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that you know people initially in their initial interactions with you, they will think about, all right, what opinion do you have, what value or what ideas do you bring to the table. But if you keep reserved, if you'll not speak, if you will have brilliant ideas but will be shy of sharing, uh, that is when people will stop looking towards you as well. And then it will become very difficult for you to grab their attention and once again try to impress them with your knowledge of things. So, number one, be prepared. Whenever you are in a meeting, whenever you're sitting with colleagues, whenever you are, you're in a social interaction, you should be prepared. If you're not prepared, then it's not very difficult to, immediate. I mean, your brain works at an amazing speed, right? It should not take you more than 5 minutes, or at the most a few more, within which you can arrange your thoughts, compose your ideas, right, and roll them out in a very effective way. So that's very important. And I think Asad, the way he managed the session, um, I think it was brave of him that he hadn't come prepared, but he jumped onto it and went on. And I think something similar was done by Nadia Rahim as well. Nadia, if I'm right, you were there as well in the first unmoderated session. So I think these are qualities and skills that you must try to master and gain. Yes, Asad, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say that as we witnessed that nobody is coming for being a group leader, So I think we should decide in last moderator session that who is gonna be a group leader. Either it can be a kind of a voting system or something else. You come with a better idea. That's it from my side.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So, that's why I'm saying it's important. Number one, to try to grab that opportunity. Number two, if you still, facing a bit of nervousness, in speaking, in leading a session, at least you should come forward and share your objectives, your goals, your activities. Let other people debate, let other people question you. You should be prepared to answer as well. I mean, not every suggestion is relevant. So if you've put something there, I mean, you should be able to defend it or explain it as well. Don't get overly defensive, but you should be able to explain it also. All right. So we are now coming to the end of we have come to the end of goal setting, and we've learned that it has to be focused, smart, simple, achievable, not overly achievable. It should give you a bit of stretch, right? And there should be activities sparked. Activities should change. um, your goals, the focus on your goals should remain the same, right? You should have plans for any contingencies. Fall forward, don't fall backwards. So all these things, that they should give you a very, very wholesome ideas about how to plan for your future. And that is what how you should approach life. um, yeah. So today we're going to begin with number one, sharing with you plans for what's lying ahead, and then we'll very quickly jump onto a video where we will further cement our objectives and goal setting processes. So let me very quickly share this Excel screen with you. I'm going to switch off my video. You'll be able to see me. I mean, you'll be able to see me, but it's going to go behind. So if you see, this is the more or less the schedule that we're going to follow as well. Although this is for the members group, but we have just covered this bit so far. Yeah. So 4 sessions we've covered: 30-second introduction, staying focused, rate yourself on core capabilities and expertise. When then we went on to to discuss your 30-second introduction. I mean, Tufani, we listened to that individual, the way he was confident, body language, skill, etc., humility. Introduction on social media, we thought, how should one do that? And this was all under the 30-second introduction. Um, your objectives of using social media, whether it's for professional reasons, for job search reasons, for sales reasons, or for pure networking reasons only. Judging the profile of people before you bring them into your network. So that's important. What should be your desired lifestyle, and then asking yourself very focused questions: what and why. And that is what our focus should be at the onset, and not too much into how, and how is that going to be achieved. So we then went on to discuss multiple introductions, professional, board level, introduction for clients, etc. We discussed all that. We discussed value, what value you're delivering, body language, clear, specific communication, why, what else, why not, uh, so what. So all these questions to come to your mind when you're doing your when you're doing focus building, and when you're doing question formation. Then we went on to discuss goal settings. We saw Denzel Washington, I think, excellent video. And then we also talked about, I mean, we heard from John Doerr on goal setting. And can you tell me the buzzword from John Doerr? What was it? And then we went on to discuss OPA goal model, OPA model of goal setting, which all of you worked on. Next up, we'll discuss our startup ecosystem. We'll discuss business idea conceptualization, and we'll discuss what business canvas models are, how to prepare them, what depth, and we'll spend about 10 hours on this as well. Okay, 10 hours. So about the same amount of time that we spent so far, we'll spend on this much as well, on this bit as well. And it's going to be very, very important and interesting for you. Then we'll go on towards some skills, developing some skills. So We are not going to do basics of Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint. We're just going to do a very, very high level um, overview of Office, and I hope it will be value addition for you. We don't want to go into the basics of things. We're also going to do Power BI, and then we'll also look at some professional insights by ACCA. We'll pick up a couple, and we will discuss, what these professional insights tell us. Then the next section is going to be taxation and laws. So the relevant local taxation and laws in your country. At this point, we will split into three groups. So Sri Lanka will be separated, Bangladesh will be separated, Pakistan members and future members will be separated, put into one group, as in we would not want members and future members in two different groups. We'll bring them together. So they'll attend their taxation and law sessions together, and then we will go back and into same groups and continue from there. So okay, so that's what okay, Feroz, I'll read your message in a bit. So that's all taxation and local laws, quite a bit of emphasis on this. And once again, we'll spend about another 10 or more number of hours on local tax and laws. So if you want to dig deeper, we are currently working with Sri Lankan, members who have tax expertise, and we've already identified individuals. We are currently working out the content with them, but just basically a bird's eye view, what's going to be there. So the legislative structure, tax computations, and this is pretty much generic for all three markets. Income tax for individuals. I mean, individuals is primarily, just one aspect. So we mainly look at corporate tax. We'll also look at value-added tax or sales tax and withholding tax. Then, importantly, we're going to discuss international taxation and trade agreements and what are their types, cross-border taxation, which is the in thing now, which is what's going to be the future game for taxation. Then tax planning, potential tax risks, tax minimization measures, and assessing the implications and proposals of activities or plans. Then next we're going to discuss ACCA's career navigation. We're going to discuss going to be our next subject. Then we will bring in two or three very senior ACCA members who are going to talk about different industry segments. So we're going to bring in me. The connection is not lost. Can you hear me all? Type in the questions box. If you can type in the questions box, can you hear me? Yes, all right. Thank you, Maruf. Okay, so I'm going to look at questions in a bit, but just after I've explained all this. Then sessions from industry leaders. We're going to have a banker come in. We're going to have, a fintech expert come in. We're going to have a technology expert come in and speak about their industries. So that's how you get an update on, what's happening in the industry. Which segments are behaving in which particular way. How's the banking looking like? How's the fintech environment looking like? All that. Then ACCA's ethics and professional skills module. We're going to look at that. I hope some of you may have done it. Some of you would be planning to do it. But I mean, something really, really important. I must say, you pay a lot of emphasis on this. Then moving on, we'll discuss communication and negotiation skills and decision-making skills. We're going to spend about 6 hours on this, and these are all soft skills that we're going to focus on. Going on, we will, and this is once again out of your interest. We're going to talk about CV writing and job interviews, and it's not just going to be, a bit of advice about CV writing, and this is what you should not do in the job interview. There could be role plays in this as well, and our colleague Feroz is going to be working with us on different role plays, and we will split you into groups. Some of you will become an interviewer, a job interviewer. Some will become a job interviewee. We will invite HR experts from the markets, and they're going to conduct some sample interviews as well with you. Okay, so that's going to be really practical, hands-on approach, and that's what we're going to focus on. Then, to finish it all up, we're once again going to do business case development. This is once again about business ideas and the refined form of that. It's a very interesting and important domain. This is where the world is heading right now. um, Entrepreneurs, startups, that culture, that ecosystem is what is currently being appreciated by the fresh talent. And last but not the least, we're going to discuss some international case studies also. These are case studies that have been um, put together by renowned universities from around the world. For example, National University of Singapore, for example, um, Harvard Business School, for example, the Lahore University of Management Sciences. So important famous universities from around the world. They've worked on these case studies and international case studies, and therefore that will give you a good, very broad perspective of what the world faces in the real life. And then we're also going to use these case studies to polish our own presentation skills, so that fear of coming to onto the camera. I haven't seen anyone switching on their camera and talking to the camera as well. That's a very different feeling, and I must tell you, this is something that you must also um, make sure that you should do. Um, uh, Very quickly, sharing some of our future plans once again. We may open up ACCA office for some face-to-face participation in 60 days program as well. So right now we're all digital, but I think the COVID situation is somewhat better now, and therefore we may, depending upon availability, in at least in Pakistan or in Sri Lanka, having discussed with the with the market head, we will open up some offices for some face-to-face sessions or some face-to-face engagement. No promises yet, but we are very actively working on it. So that should be very interesting for you. Uh, One last thing, and that is uh, that Feroz and I will be getting in touch with you. We are thinking about putting together a campaign to let the outside world know what future members in this 6 digits program are learning. So what we're going to do is we will all ask you to submit a photograph and uh, a 2-3 line statement from your side, very powerful punchy statement of what have you learned so far, what change, or as Sajid calls it, what destruction has these sessions caused in your mind right now and so far, and how do you see your professional life differently from before. So what we're going to do is we'll put these quotations, as we call them, and your photograph into a very nice template. We'll give it back to you. You'll put it on your social media, right? And that is how we'll create a lot of splashes around what you're learning in your 6 digits program. So that's that. If you have any questions, oh yes, okay. So WhatsApp group links, etc. Have all of you seen my email that was sent out this afternoon? And this email had all the recording links, had some of the content that we're talking about. That was available. We have shared a link to the drive where we are going to place all the handouts and the updated recording links. It's going to be regularly uploaded. And last but not the least, there was that link for joining the WhatsApp group as well. And I have seen that a lot of people have now joined the WhatsApp group, and therefore they're now actively participating. So please keep this email, once again, keep this email safe as well. It has some very important connections and links for you, and going forward you should be very actively using it. Okay, so I think if we have any quick comments on this, please write them in the questions box, or otherwise we'll move on to watching this video, after which we will be joined by Sajid Aslam, who is going to take us through the business case development, session for today. Okay, Hasnan Hussein is asking what is the difference between moderated and unmoderated sessions. I think Hasnan is new to the group. So, Asad and Nadia, if I can ask you to explain. Asad, you're still unmuted from my side. Um, Sayed Saad, all right, the emails went out today. Please check in your spam also if it might have landed in your spam box. If not, please send me an email and I'll make sure that we send it to you as well. So Asad, and I'm also going to unmute Nadia. So if you can
Hello, can
please
you hear me, sir?
explain. Yes, I can hear you. If you can explain to Hasnan Hussain or what is the difference between the moderated and unmoderated sessions? Yes, Nadia, you're unmuted as well.
Husnain, then the difference between moderated and unmoderated session is the moderated session is conducted by the host like Sir Harun and his co-host Feroz Muhammad, and the unmoderated session is led by anyone uh, within us. So we have to select a leader between us, among us. So he or she will lead the rest of the session. That's it. That's the
Yeah.
difference between moderated and unmoderated session.
And Nadia, if you can explain the purpose of an unmoderated session, what good does that do to you?
It it helps us with leadership skills. That's
Yeah.
and obviously planning, also with planning, and you can also find new things about yourself as well. Like you can lead. And the unmoderated session is on Teams, Microsoft Teams. I wanted to add that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nadia. So, Hasnan, this is the difference between moderated and unmoderated sessions. As you have now started, attending these sessions, you'll very quickly know the difference. But Hasnan, please dig out my email. The kickoff email that we had sent out, at the start of the session. This was sent in the last week of November. So please take that email out. It has all the relevant links available. The same email has that link for unmoderated sessions as well. But if you, for any reason, have not been able to or not able to find that email, Hasnan, you should be in the WhatsApp group, and you can ask your colleagues there to share the link with you if you have misplaced it for some reason. All right, so with that, we will now head towards our video for today, and I will just share it with you in a bit. Okay, just give me a second. Tony Robbins' rapid planning method. So this video should be coming up. Just very quickly watch it, and then we will continue our session for today. All right. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this short video. And remember, I mean, these are some of the things that we've discussed in the past as well. But more importantly, now we are seeing the application of being outcome focused, being goal oriented in everything that you do in your work life, in your personal life also. So if you'd noticed, he'd given an example of even talking to his son. What was the objective of doing so? So if it was just chit chat, fine. If it was not chit chat, if it was an objective, that it should be very clear to you in your mind before you go on and do your conversation. So, and similarly, uh, he also talked about going prepared for the meetings. We were a little while ago discussing when you come for your unmoderated session. This is this is the process that should be following in your mind, or what am I going to achieve in today's meeting, right? What is my objective of attending this meeting? Should it just be listening to others, or should it be contributing, or should it be leading, right? And there are very few people who would have that approach of leading the group as well, and having been be very, very clear in what do we want to achieve from it. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. We have with us now Mr. Sajid Aslam. um, Sajid is our global head of public sector and an expert in in startup ecosystem, in guiding people on business case development, how to be very focused on business ideas, what kind of business ideas should there be, which kind of ideas will not fly and which ones should you focus on. So a very, very interesting conversation. But let me tell you one thing once more. It's all about interactivity. If you're not interactive, if the session is not interactive, we may not enjoy it as much. And I would say, fine, do type in your questions, but I should see a lot of hand raises of people who want to contribute verbally also. That's quicker. That gives you an opportunity to speak as well. So Sajid, if we can hand over to you.
Thank you, Harun. And if you can convert me into what the presenter or organizer so I can see the questions.
I'll just do that. So here we go. You're an organizer. And would you want to present yourself as well, Steve? Making you a presenter, so you'll have rights too.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. And assalamu alaikum, very good evening. And let's see what we got here. So any key learning in last couple of weeks? Any one or two words you can define? Thank you, Ali. Key learnings quickly. Clarity in goal setting, great. Thank you, Saad. Being specific what you want, falling forward, yes. Setting objective, what, why, and how. It's what, how, and why not. It's what and why first. Focus. Focus is one of a key area. Most of the time we try to do a lot of stuff and we start losing the focus. So focus other is the right word. I think that's again a very important area that some people are experiencing something. What, why, and how. Yeah, and that's why. Clear priorities, developing focus, better utilization of skill. Anybody familiar with the concept of 10x? Determination, consistency. It requires a lot of trust initially, so definitely determination and consistency is an important area. It's a book. Yapka Kundi, this is, you are talking about, it's a book? Okay, definitely. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of content available. Great, thank you. Anybody who is aware of what does 10x mean? The concept of 10x and why it's important. So 10x rules, yes. Feroz or Harun, if you can confirm if we are having an audio issue.
Sajid, your audio is a little jittery, but I think it's getting okay now. And Sajid, are you okay with me sharing, or you will have to share your screen in order for them to see each other's comments also?
Feroz,
The
in the
questions.
audio issue, I can switch internet. Hassan, can you Google it? I can't hear you. Audio lagging. Issue. Now let me reconnect. Feroz, if you can, Harun, if you can confirm.
Yes, Sajid, there is an audio issue on your end. Can you hear me? I think Sajid is having an audio issue. Can you hear me, participants?
Is it better?
Sajid, can you hear me now? Hello? Okay, thank you, Nadia. Sajid, can you let me know if you can hear us? If I can hear me. Sajid, still some audio issue on your end, probably. If you cannot hear me, that means your audio issue is not sorted. Yeah, I think Sajid is going to reconnect. Yeah, I think he's back.
Okay.
Yes, Sajid, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can now.
Yeah, now it's
Can you
clear.
again bring me back as a presenter or
Yes. But Sajid, will you be able to share your screen then? Because people may not be seeing the questions in the questions box otherwise.
I can.
Okay. Presenter. You're the presenter as well.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, screen is visible, but you'll have to enable the labs option under file.
Under?
File labs include go to webinar during screen sharing. Yeah, now we can see the questions as well.
Okay, so we can see that my question was 10x, so I think that's what you were able to hear. So some people are coming back that 10x is probably synergy concept, improve the efficiency. 10x is the concept. Harun, you have to let me know if there is any issue in the voice. Even with the WhatsApp and stuff. 10x is the concept where if you are doing one thing today, how you can improve it 10 times. I think Google has really deployed that concept. So if they're working on a one feature set and they try to improve it, they don't try to improve that by 10, 20%. They try to improve that 10 different teams working in a different silos on a one feature set. You can well imagine if 100 teams are working somewhere and feature set 10 times, then the 100 feature sets will be improved. That changes the entire product offering and the value. Harm, you again facing that one?
Sajid, again, a bit of disruption, but I think now it's okay. I could hear the last bit.
Oh,
It's okay now, I think.
let me change. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Still Nadia is saying that audio is lagging.
Now it's not lagging anymore. I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, great. So I just changed that. There's something wrong with the internet, maybe. Okay, so 10x is a concept where you work whenever you are trying to do the same thing again, you try to improve it 10 times. So it could be efficiency, it could be quality of product, it could be a growth hacking as well. Like if you are working with a 10 customer, the next time you try try to work with 100. So that's the concept, that you don't try to improve in percentages, you try to improve 10 times. Just having that concept, that whatever you are trying to do, let's say most of you are maybe student right now, so if you are trying to work somewhere on a certain assignment, how you can do that assignment next time in 1/10 of the time, or how you can improve the quality 10 times while working on the similar assignment. So it's the concept which creates a mental challenge, and it brings that growth mindset, that whenever you are looking for something, you are trying to improve it 10 times. So that's a fundamental concept that we have to try to make an attempt initially, and then you will start making it as a habit and routine, and you will be in a discipline to do that one. So just keep that 10x in mind. And now let's move towards that. How many of you are aiming to get into a business? And then based on the response, we can pick up that how we're going to get into the business side. So anybody who's planning to get into business or startup mode or starting something of their own. Okay, I'm planning. So Alina Seher, if you are willing to share something with us as well, if you can raise your hand, we can unmute you. Okay. Yep, Kakundi, yes. Whatever you are doing with your father, that would be great to share. Just raise your hand so we can help you unmute. So Alina, I have unmuted you. You can unmute yourself and we can hear something from yours.
Hello everybody. So at the moment it's something that I plan to do in near future. Like I sometimes I sit with my brother and discuss some business ideas, and then we make something, but it's not something that I'm implementing at the moment or I'm taking initiative towards. So it's mostly related to something in the food or very tech oriented, and more towards like I am more into AI sort of stuff, like artificial intelligence and things like that. So I like to come up some things around that.
Okay, great, thank you. And we will pick up on that again based on a 10x or what we need to do next. So thank you, Alina, for sharing. Anybody else? Yep, Kakundi, if you want to share that, can you raise hand? And Daniel. Mohammed Daniel, if you can raise your hand and you can share that. Yes. Daniel, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening, sir. Uh,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I have started my business like 6 months back, and it's a sort of tech company basically. But we also provide services related to data analytics and little bit of cybersecurity and along with web development and app development. We are progressing really well, like but we are not like 100% on our targets, but I can say like we can achieve like 70% of what we have in our minds.
Great. And when you started your company, so what was the outcome you have in mind when you started that? You just saw that video. So if we say that 5 years from now, what kind of business you are looking at?
Yeah, I like nowadays, if we can see, there are a lot of companies in data and software tech. So our target is like it's a long-term target. I want my company to be like to rank in top 20 in after 10 years, maybe, specifically related to tech and data companies. And I know it's a good target because there's a lot of competition nowadays. But if I want to, or we want to achieve big, we must have something big in our mind.
No, definitely, definitely. And what is the size of company? How many people you have, co-founder, founders, and why you
Uh,
came up with that idea, not a job?
Sure. It's I think I have done a job in my past, but I think and I have learned that I was wasting a lot of my potential. Sorry to say that, sorry to say this, but I learned a lot of experience from there. But after like a year or two, when you are about to quit your job or you want to move somewhere else, I think I was not satisfied with my experience on that those places. So my brother come up with an idea to make our own company with a partnership. So we started it like on May 2021. And I think like even it's our own company, but still we have to invest on ourselves on to gain new skills to make it more big and to achieve bigger goals with time. And we are very hopeful with that. And I let me share that we are estimatedly like 15 or to 20 guys in the company, but it's on partnership with my brother. All other are just implies.
Okay, great. And how many employees you have?
15 permanent, but we can hire like on contract 5 or 6 more at some
Great.
times.
So it's a decent size of organization. So well done, Daniel. So I think you are doing well. You took a decision and now you are progressing well. So really glad to hear that. Thank you for
Thank you so much.
sharing. Thank you very much. Uh, yep, Kakundi. So you can unmute yourself and
Assalamu alaikum, good evening. Am I audible?
yeah, you are. You are. So how you
Okay.
pronounce your name first? So we should get corrected.
Sir, that's Yapka Kundi.
Yapka. Yapka is so we are pronouncing it right. Great.
Yeah. So, sir, as in regard to the 10x rule on how I'm trying to apply it, that's the question, right?
Yep. So if you are doing a business,
Okay.
so how you are going to apply that?
Okay, sir. So my father operates in the renewable energy sector, and currently I am helping him with the export department. So my job is to, via artificial intelligence and database, my job is to increase the export size for the next 12 months. I have a target, and mainly the South African, Eastern European, and Australian market. We have to expand to that. So for that, we have hired few database from Chinese companies where we are searching our potential clients. So I was reading this book 10x rule, very useful. I'm in the mid of it. What I learned was how to improve my effort. So initially, I was trying to do everything myself. But a point came, I needed help. So what I did was I would contact the customer service, which I didn't know earlier about, and then I would have Zoom calls with them regularly. It really helped me to improve the skill. And then I contacted further on WhatsApp. So that was something which really made me use less time and do more work. Then I worked again on my skill when I was storing the data. So with every passing week, I was writing it down in a diary on how much less time I was spending on a certain search, on a certain product. So this is how I was trying to do, and it's now been 11 weeks, and I have, alhamdulillah, reduced that from all the way from 67 minutes to 42 minutes when I have to do one specific search for a region. So yeah, that's how I did it.
Now, that's great. That's great. And just for our understanding, when you said renewable energy, which area that's you are working on? Which in which
So
technology?
that's solar energy,
Solar.
solar panels, electric motors, and water solutions.
Great. And you are already doing that in Pakistan as well, or it's only export oriented?
So we are already locally manufacturing too. First, we would only import, but now we have started our own manufacturing.
Manufacturing. Great. That's great. No, I think it's glad to hear, and I think really see it's heartening to see that you are going through the book, and not only going through the book, you are trying to apply that learning. I think that's a second phase, what we learn and how we apply that. So thank you for sharing. I think that would influence and inspire a lot of people to really look at the 10x models and see that how we can do that in our life in anything which we are trying to do, even for a very basic stuff like cleaning a room and going up to the cooking something. So anything you're doing in your personal life that works well, even driving, going for a gym, anything you can see that how you can apply that 10x rule and improve that on every day, every week basis. So how you make progress. So that's good to see that you are deploying that in the in the business. Thank you for sharing. And if we can have Anas Khan. Anas Khan, you can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can. We can hear you.
Okay, sir. So basically, my brother is currently doing a biotechnology degree from University of Malacca. So I'm planning, learning from ACCA. So combinedly, we can make a biotech company. The purpose is why, if we talk about why element to provide sustainable health products and services to a range of clients or customers, and how it is possible. Basically, currently I'm in a planning stage. I have not yet planned or prepared very well, so in the coming month, or let's say 5 to 6 months, I'm still planning, and inshallah that I'll cope with that very well.
Thank you, Ans. Thank you for sharing. Irfan Ali, you have raised a hand, but I think you still need that pen to speak somehow. I don't know. I send you the pen. If you can pick up that, we can bring you back later. So thank you, Anas, for sharing. Just a question for people who are already in business, who are planning in the business. What are the top 3 things you should be looking at while you are planning, particularly if you are planning to start a new business? So the question is, what are the top 3 things you should be looking at while you are planning a business? Top 3. Demand, so market, definitely whether the market exists out there. So break even, investors, finances, initial capital. Keep bringing it up. Resources, profitability. What else? Goals, resources, customer demand, objective, competitive edge, cost in USD as the costs are fluctuating, competition, I think Asad picked up that whether it's solving any problem or not. So I think the biggest thing which we have to look at to start with is the idea, and that idea, what problem we are trying to solve. I think that's a fundamental question you have to come up with, that what problem you are trying to solve. Definitely the money has to follow at some point of time, but the starting point is that idea and not investment. So idea and what kind of problem you are going to solve, and that problem, somebody mentioned the demand side of it, so that problem or the solution to that problem is going to help you to understand what is the size of the market, what is the next thing. First is idea and the feasibility of idea and the market for that idea. So what is the second thing you should be looking at? Sustainability, what will be my place in market. So if you got an idea, what is the second thing you should be looking at? Resources. You have to be little specific. Resources is a very, very broader term, Aish. Capital investment. No, that's not the second thing. HR, team. So first thing, yeah, capacity to run, Deepa. So if you have an idea, then the second thing you need, how many people have a real belief in that idea, who really want to work with you as a co-founder, as a team member, as an employee. So how many people believe in that? You have to really test and validate the idea, and you have to build a team to deliver that. So the first thing is idea. Second thing is team. What else? What is the third one? So idea, team, NEPA. Capital is still not the third, in the top third. Market, Hassan, if we pick up the market in a little bit different context, the third thing is normally timings. So when you are evaluating an idea and you see that there are a lot of people who have that problem which you are trying to solve, that you have got the right team to solve it, you have to really see whether in an ecosystem there is a drive for people. Just giving you example, the other day we were talking about as well, like when Uber was launched, the ride sharing was not a very innovative idea. Uber has made it convenient, but the basic idea is that at that time there was a recession in the market and people were looking for extra cash. So they started with their taxi drivers, and they converted that the spare car or the spare time with the people or driver with the cars uh, into that money making machine. So practically the recession was one of a key driver for adoption. So timing is a very important area. You have to see that where there is a need and whether it will be converted into demand or not. There is enough drive in the ecosystem whether which can drive it. For example, if you look at Pakistan with $1,200-$1,300 per capita income versus a country with a $2,200 plus per capita income, there is a different behavior. The ecosystem is supportive once you cross that $2,200 per capita income. People have enough saving and the risk appetite to really test something new. In the markets where you have got there may be a need, a dire need, but adoption will be a challenge because they might not have a right kind of per capita income. There may not be any strong drive within that ecosystem that can really create that kind of adoption. So you have an idea, you have a team, you have to really evaluate, is it the right time or you have to wait? Is there enough drive available in the ecosystem for the adoption of that idea? Facebook was not the first tool which was launched. Google was not the first one. Airbnb was not the first one. It's just the timing when they came in the market. There is a certain demand or drivers exist out there which help that kind of adoption. So you have to really study your ecosystem right and the behavior right. Then we come to the level which is capital. So the capital is the fourth item you need to look at. And luckily, the capital is the one you can go and raise in the market. You cannot have an idea from the market. You can't have a team from the market. And the research for the timing, you can't have it from the market. You have to make those judgment calls and assessment. Team is the key area there because team reflect that whether you have a capability to deliver it or not. And if you have a right team, uh, a good idea, and the reasonable timing, then you can go out in a market and raise capital. But if you have a capital, you don't have a right idea, team, or the right timing, that capital is not going to help you to run the business. The business is run by people, and the people should have a right kind of capability, right? So keep that in mind. If you're working on a business or a business plan, or you are planning to run a business, so first you have to really come up with the idea. And sorry, excuse me. The idea not necessarily has to be a very, very innovative. You can replicate the same idea which is happening somewhere in the world in a different geographical location. Rocket Internet was a great example historically, who started businesses like that. And then they get acquired by the bigger companies who are working in a larger economies, and they have a capital. So their go-to market cost was way less. Uh, so idea, team, and the timing. So you have to get these three things right, and the market is willing to put the capital for you, provided the team is there. You start with the one idea, uh, and then you might end up in a different form of the same idea. Like if you start with the Uber or Kareem in Pakistan or Middle East, so they started with the ride share, but right now they are providing grocery, they are providing anything which has to move from a one place to other, whether it's a like delivery services, anything you can talk about it. They got the one thing right, is that they are moving either human being or articles from one place to other. So that's their basic thing, and they start developing those things in a different direction. Whether Uber is in profit, no, they are not. Whether Airbnb in profit, no, they are not. They are the companies who are still in losses, or at least significant losses, and they are still acquiring more and more user, and they are looking at user acquisition rather than the profitable revenues right now. Their entire model is towards the capital gain. So they keep raising money, they keep discharging their or providing exit to the existing investor, and they are bringing new investor on board. So that's how they are raising money and building the company, with a certain point where there will be enough uh, traction where this can hold the significant market share and convert everything into a very strong, profitable organization. So sometimes, because we most of them are most of us are coming from the accounting background, we start looking at fundamentally into the profitability of the organization on a day one. Universally, there could be certain exception. Universally, it takes 3 years for a business to really become profitable. So it takes 3 years effort. And most of the people who start business with the optimism of 12 to 15 months, they really start struggling with their capital, with their physical effort, with their emotional stress, and they start closing the business in 18 to 24 months when they are just a couple of months away from the success. So whenever you plan a business, just make sure you look at least 3 year cycle, that this is something you have to live with. And that's been the people who are going to raise capital, third party capital, don't try to raise capital for a year. Create a roadmap at least for 3 years where you can really scale. Business take a lot of effort. The first 12 months get really, you will lose those 12 months in the learning and really understanding the business model, understanding your customer, changing your business model, creating a new operating plans, and then redeploy that. So you need a lot of energy at that stage. So again, going back to the fundamental thing, idea, team, timing. So these are three things you should be looking at, whether you are clear on it, and then you can you can put your own capital, or you can bring capital from the market, beg, borrow, steal, investment. Every model and every instrument is available in a market to raise that kind of capital. But the team is the key. So be quite open to share your equity or success with your employees or a co-founder. You don't have to go equal, but you still have to go and bring those people on board. So the success you share, that can be shared by other people who are putting equal or proportionate effort there. Any question here? Hard work is, there is no replacement of the hard work, definitely. Excess workload is definitely a nice problem to have. So if you're growing business, I'll come to a couple of other things which are generally missed out on that. Any questions so far on the idea team and timing conversation? This morning I was working with a very, very young kid. He's from A level, very bright kid. And the question was whether people are willing to invest with the team who has like 10 failures on their part in terms of startup. So in the startup ecosystem, the failure is considered as a one of a learning curve, provided you deploy that learning. So somebody who's starting business today versus who has failed 3-4 times, the person who has failed 3-4 times is more valuable because they know what not to do. Where the person who's starting business today might have to go through that learning curve. So from a risk assessment perspective, the investor or venture capital specifically or angel investor will be more happy to interact with somebody who has got a past experience, even if it's a failure. Alina, you are talking about the key factors who shows that it's a right timing. So the timing is normally evaluated based on the adoptions. What will drive your customer to adopt your solution? So there is always a difference between the need versus demand. So the need, people may need it, but they may not convert into to a demand. They may not buy your solution because they may not be ready. They may not have that kind of drive to really adopt for it. So you really have to figure out what are the key driver for your customer to adopt your product, and then you start with MVP, like minimum viable product or minimal viable offering, and then you test it with a small pilot. So I personally love the model where you pilot it and then you scale it rather than you start with a bigger scale. Zara, you are talking about 3-year time scale is similar for small and large business. Yes, that's something which we see universally. If you are trying to set up a oil refinery or a textile mill or large scale, it's gonna take its own time in terms of preparation and the business development and the sales cycle and then getting to the volumes. So it's not that you will be incurring losses. I think the point which I'm making is that it's a third year, like after 24 months, you will start seeing the volumes of the business which make it more scalable. So you might have to invest in the business for the first 2 years, and then the third year you might be able to draw any money out. Umar, you were talking about whether our idea is worthwhile or not. Pilot is the key area. That's the key concept. So you can validate your idea with the relevant customer base and see that what kind of response and feedback they are giving you. A lot of people do not take that feedback very seriously. I think feedback is always a gift. And then you have to see objectively whether your idea need a certain tweaking or not. What is the great idea? You don't have to really come up with a great idea. You have to really see that what is the journal problem which you can solve. So all the Uber and Airbnb, regardless where they were coming from, they were trying to solve a problem. And the great idea is that which is very simple, and it can really solve bigger problem. So it could be a very complex operating model, but from a customer perspective, the interaction should be very simple, and it should be really solving a problem for them. And that problem should be something where they keep coming back. If you are trying to solve problem once in their lifetime, that may not be a recurring business. So it's something which is more consumable, something which they need on an everyday basis, that has got a different kind of scalability. Otherwise, it will be a very niche business with a limited customer base. What if your idea is new and not appealing to the investor? That's mean you are not talking to the right investors. Your idea could be new. It's not about the innovation in the idea. It's all about that which problem you are trying to solve and how many people have that problem. So it's not about the innovation or new idea. It's about the problem you are trying to solve and the market size of it. And every investor will love to do that. And if you are at an initial stage, they are looking somewhere like 15 to 20 times of return in 3 to 5 years time. So whether your idea is able to really help them generate that kind of money, so definitely every investor is there, provided you have a right kind of team. Team is an important factor there. The team who they can trust can really scale. Changes to plan is a everyday basis. Plan is a very live thing, unless it's while you are working on a businesses. And if you are on a startup and tech-based model, then I think it's more the agility of the plan rather than a fixed plan. There was a very interesting conversation that the businesses are putting together the 5-year plans, where in a 12 months the entire ecosystem is changing. So you should be living every day. You should having a plan for 12 months, a very clear roadmap for quarters, and then you keep updating those based on the learning and the new things which are coming up. 5-year static plans are not going to work anymore. So you should have something to look at, but you can't have a very static plan to follow. You should be reviewing your plan every quarter. For an existing business, how the idea, team, and time works, it's scaling, Aish. When you are looking at your existing business, so what you can really do is to really make a 10x change. So that 10x change driver would be helping you to what you need to do differently, what resources you need, and is it the right time to scale 10 times? Is there enough market which can help you to really go on a 10x model? So Daniel, not recession is not necessary for the startup. Recession was one of an example which I quoted from Uber and Kareem, for them to really let people have a stranger sitting in their car or living with them. Was the recession is one of a key driver where they were looking for extra money, and they had an appetite to go for that risk. So not necessarily recession is important. Recession in these two scenarios was a relevant driver, because having a stranger staying in your house with you or having a stranger sitting in your car is not something which was thinkable at that time. But the recession, the the requirement of extra money was the one key driver where people were okay to take that risk. And unique and innovative replacements, substitutions, all those things are always a good starting point when you are looking for something which people are doing and they are consuming a lot. Can you come up with a substitution? So that will create a natural adoption, whether it's either it's from a quality, experience, or price wise. If it's better and there's already a market, so yeah, people are willing to adopt that one. Everything has a market, that's very true, but it's the size of the market. So if you are wanting, right now we are talking about the businesses which may have a scale, which is trying to solve bigger problem, who have the businesses who have a scope beyond your geographical location, city, country. So I think that's where the size of the market matters. If you are going to make an effort to start a business, so it could be a very lifestyle type business which you are doing in a small scale, and it's generating enough revenue for you to live your life, or it's going to solve a problem for a lot of people, and at the same time it can bring money beyond what you need, and you can redeploy that money in any way you want. So market always exists for everything, but it's a scale of the market and how you're going to really capture that market. Yep. So you have to look for the problems, and the best businesses we have seen so far, they started with a personal problem. If somebody has got their individual problem, they try to really look around themselves, look around them, and they figure out they are not the only one who has that problem, and then they try to evaluate different options and the solutions, and that's where the big businesses really born. Whether it's a ride share, whether it's an Airbnb model. They started with certain personal problems, and those personal problems you may have a better experience, but not necessarily. But yeah, if you're looking around and you are trying to solve something, first see that what you feel or experience every day you want to alter, so you will have a better understanding of that problem. Yeah, there's a if you look at the startup mode particularly, so there are 70-80% of the startup fails, and they launch something which does not really tick well with the required customer, and they have to start doing something else. That's why the concept of pilot and scaling, and after scaling, the evolution is the key word, that how you will evolve it further. If you have created a certain solution that cannot stay static, it will become obsolete in some time, so you have to keep evolving it. OOA or some cola or ice creams, yes, these are the businesses which were not not necessarily they were the bad ideas uh, or irrelevant businesses. I think if we want to really get into the case study, so you will figure out that what was the key reason, whether it's a team, it's a quality of product, it's the drive of the owner, it's a capital issue, so where they went wrong. I remember OA was something which was very, very famous at one point of time, but suddenly we figure out that we don't see those products the way they used to be in the market now these days. But every business has got their own case studies, and we can learn from those. Luck is I'm not a big fan of luck. Unless I go with the concept of anticipation and preparedness. So the more you anticipate and you prepare, there is a high probability to win. But if you leave it to the luck, so that's basically still an outcome of your preparedness without you knowing it. So you have done something right in the past where you start seeing that result, but the luck is not going to contribute anything in that's my personal belief. If you are doing a hard work, you will get a return at some point of time. May not be the ideal timing for you, but the timing which hard work never go unrewarded. You will be rewarded for that, maybe later, sooner or later, may not be exactly the time when you are looking at. So yeah, Daniel, the launch time was good. There was a good traction in the market. There were adoption in the market. It's just that whether they managed to, I was not a key user, so I can't comment on that. Whether they really managed to maintain the quality of the product or not. Aksa very rightly picked up that fears. A lot of things which we do is out of fear. So you really have to really check your intent where you stand and whether you are working or acting out of fear or optimism. So what is your key driver while you are making a decision or not making a decision? The fear is one thing you have to take out from your life, and you have to start moving a little bit bold with a reasonable risk appetite. But if you try to do anything out of fear, it's not going to work. So failure is not an issue. Failure is a one learning after other, and that's totally fine as long as you are learning. And somebody mentioned that earlier as well, falling forward, that's fine. You are still making a progress. How you use that learning is an important element. So I think we will take a break here from the idea, and then anybody who has got something to share right now. Makbul, talent is the most important one. Capital follow the talent. If you have capital, you can acquire talent, but the talent is the one where if you have the talent side, the capital will follow that. The capital cannot acquire that passion, that association with the solution. It can only bring employees most of the time. Then you're very right. Most of the time, idea, normally we say that the richest place on the earth is the graveyard, because most of the people who have all the bright idea, they never took an action, and they took that idea back, like in the grave. So yeah, if you have an idea, and I think particularly your age group, they should make all the attempts to try out those things before you can come back and say that I had an idea and I never tried that. So build a team, make an effort, put some extra hours there, put some extra money there, and try to execute it with a team. Don't try to do it alone. It's it's require a lot of energy. One person may not be able to really provide all kind of energy. Uh, just a one quick question. So if you have to scale, what are one or two things you need to scale? How you will really define the scale? That if we talk about that any business is scaling, what they are doing. If we take example of Uber, which is not profitable, what they are trying to do, or for that matter, Airbnb, what they are trying to do if they are not profitable. Yeah. So either it's acquiring more customer or acquiring more market share, so they can have a dominance. Creating a market sometimes, yes. So when we are looking at scaling, is it good in public interest? Daniel, I think you have to elaborate that question. Acquiring, getting a more share or dominant share, that's what you are referring to? Creating a brand, definitely. The brand is all about the experience. I think in our initial discussion, we picked up that every individual is a brand. Guys, you have to excuse me for that. So every individual is a brand, and how you create that credibility is your actions and the consistent experience you generate. So yes, creating a brand is an important element, but the unless until that brand is bringing more customer on board. There's a slogan from KFC: sales overnight, brand over time. It's a lovely philosophy that you have to sell more and more so you can build a brand. You can't build a brand without selling that. So Daniel, from a market share perspective, definitely there's a lot of questions around whether we allow other competition to survive or not. So it's more around the practice rather than just having a market share. Dominant market share has got its own benefits and it has got its own social evils, but it's all depend that the owners, shareholders, board, society, how they are going to regulate and govern that business. So not necessarily every business with the dominant position is going to exploit their customer. So definitely scaling is all around acquiring more customer base or generating top line, bigger top line. So if you have to scale, what else you need? So if you need more customers, and if you want to grow very fast, you really want to scale very fast, whether acquisition or customer or market share or revenue, top line right now we are talking about, not the profitability. You can also look at the profitability at some stage, but let's talk about the scaling the top lines, either the customer base or revenue. So what is the something which is inevitable to really scale? What you need? Resources, Sajid, you have to really define resources. I think that's a key word here. So you need the right kind of partnerships. Uh, Satisfy customer need, definitely. That's the only way you can do it. Organization capacity. You have to create more organization capacity. Like, again, we go back to the fundamental concept we were talking about, 10x. So if you want to scale and you are not scaling your organization, then you can't scale or sustain that growth. So it's important, and that's again one of a point which most of the time is overlooked. If you are scaling, you have to create that capacity within the organization to really handle that growth. Whether you have to bring more money, more people, more tools, more resources. So I think these are the things you have to go back and start looking at the organizational capability. Sometimes you build it through the partnership, sometimes you build it through employees, but you need to really build uh, that intellectual capital within the organization, which can help you grow. So if you want to scale, don't ignore the part that organization need to scale at the same pace, or maybe uh, proportionately, and it has to bring more and more efficiency. So talent is the most key word there. Whether you acquire through partnership, you build your teams, you build more co-founders, uh, or you acquire or outsource, you create a network of outsourcing. So you have to build that capacity to serve that customer base. Otherwise, as soon as you start try to scale, a lot of organizations fail just because they are not looking at the organizational capability. They are carried away with the opportunity which exists out there, but not the challenge within the organization which may exist. So let's going back to couple of things which we discussed. So idea, team, and timing, those are important area. Capital follow talent. So if you have got the right kind of team, you will be able to raise capital. Then the organization from a pilot to scaling stage. So try with the pilot. So pilot means that you really create a very agile model where you build a product, test the market, come back, improve it, take it back, and then you get into the scale mode. While you are getting into the scaling or a growth mode, whether it's a more customer acquisition or a bigger revenue streams, then you or a higher market share, so then you have to start looking into your organizational capability. Do you have that flexibility within the organization to really support that kind of scaling? If you don't have, try to build that first before you get into that scaling. So make sure that your organization is ready for scale. Right? Any question here? So that is very, very important that you have to build your brand by consistent experience you create for your customer. So it's always important to surpass the expectation of a customer to create that kind of brand. Any question? Anyone who wants to test their ideas right now? If you have any idea in mind and you were not confident, I think this is a very ideal place and a safe place where you can discuss your idea and get a quick feedback whether your idea is worth investing effort and money. And you never know, you might find some co-founder here. Sambal Samin, I have unmuted you. You can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Sambal Samin, and today I would like to discuss up two ideas. On both of the ideas, I've actually worked as well. So one was about the counseling thing, because uh, I got to know that UK has hired the Ministry of Loneliness because of this depression and stress and anxiety.
Well-being.
Okay. Yeah. I actually wanted to make an app through which people can actually connect themselves with the counselors, and there are actually some organizations as well working on this thing, and not particularly in Pakistan, but at an international level. In US, there are actually the most famous are actually two, but they only focus on anxiety and depression. So I wanted to actually uh, diversify that towards the relationship counseling and to other things as well, like career counseling and stuff, apart from anxiety and depression counseling. So it was like a career model, like you need a driver and you put your request and the request goes to another person and he actually accepts it. So the app model was like one person has to make a request for the counseling session, and there are multiple counselors available. The options will pop up in front of that person, and he can choose pertaining to their qualification or relevant experience. And that app will provide the particular counseling about that particular topic that he or she is actually looking for. So because every time in our life, I mean, there comes a time when we need to discuss things with the other person and we don't find anyone, like we can't trust our parents, family, or anyone, or sometimes it's like in the middle of the night you feel like helpless, might be because of a fight with your parents or family or some kind of career depression or stuff like that. So that idea was about it, that whenever you need to speak to someone, you can actually have that access to, and that to our registered counselor. So that was the idea about, and I actually worked on it as well, but due to lack of funds, you can say, or the lack of cooperation of the team, because I was unable to find a specific co-founder or an experienced one. That's why I was unable to continue it. And the other idea I had was about this marketing thing, because I have actually researched about it, and there is a lot more potential in the marketing sector in Pakistan. And that was particularly a unique one, because I usually see vehicles running on the streets, and we are actually tired and sick of those billboard and hoardings. So I actually wanted to use those vehicles, the back screens, for the marketing purpose, because billboard stands at one place but the vehicle moves to different areas. There are particular marketing agencies who are actually providing this vehicle marketing, but that is quite limited. For example, if you want to go for the vehicle marketing, the agencies will donate 2 to 3 vehicles to your brand for a particular or specific area. But what I wanted to do it, I want to revolutionize it uh, through the customers and the companies, the integration of a common individual with the particular organization. For example, you have a car and you have 3 colleagues who are working in the same organization, and you have a specific route to reach to your office on daily basis, and while going back to the home, you follow that particular route as well, and your 3 other colleagues follow the different routes, right? So my idea was that I will take the marketing, you can say that marketing thing from a particular organization. I will take that relevant budget and the quotation from them, and then I will discuss that with those 3 individuals and let them know that during these hours, your brand will be marketed uh, in that specific route by these 3 to 4 specific individuals on daily basis. So that will be quite, you can say, cost effective as well for the organizations, because if you go to the agencies and take that vehicle branding, they cost you in millions, right? And that is only for 2 to 3 days, and which is quite too much. And a normal person, a normal individual cannot benefit from it. But this way, the organization will have a cost effective budget, and the individuals will also be able to get benefit from it. I mean, we will be able to improve the individual person's life, like Kareem did. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you so the first question, let's pick up on the counseling app. Any comment on that? There's a one comment by Nadia that there's a Taskeen as a Pakistani organization is working on that on a counseling side. App idea is great. My only question is why the existing apps or the social media groups cannot really work on that one. So a challenging question. So why we are not seeing that at least in Pakistan right now, if that's what the market you are looking at. So I think from an idea perspective and a need perspective, particularly from a need perspective, the well-being is becoming one of a key area. People are really now becoming more aware, especially Gen Z is very concerned about their mental health and the people around them, their mental health, and they want to really contribute or help or need help on that side. So that app should be able to work. There could be different dynamics in terms of particularly in terms of whether we can use our original name or it has to be anonymous. So I think these are the kind of thing, but definitely from a need perspective, it exists. If you convert that into demand, nothing like it. So that idea should should be workable, particularly for Gen Z who are not very comfortable dealing or discussing it with their teachers or parents, and it's not a very safe environment that they can go and talk to anybody. There could be a risk of exploitation. From a vehicle perspective, it's worth exploring. There are a lot of people who are making that attempt to really use their existing moving vehicles. But most of the time, there is a taxes and the municipal taxes which are killing that one, because that's individual become a subject to those taxes. So, but there are marketing companies who really want to capitalize on that, just like Airbnb model. You have a car, just lend me your screen for 5 days on a certain route. You have to establish whether the person is using or not. But this idea, a lot of people are trying to really do that in Pakistan. We have seen those ideas working with the taxis outside Pakistan a lot. But whether we can use the private car or not, that's a question mark in terms of the taxation and the local regulation. So I think Said Saad came up with that. There's no such app. Daniel is also talking about a good idea with subscription fee. Uh, Fake accounts could be one issue. Good idea. So uh, so by sharing that, you can see that there are people who like the idea. I would suggest that if you want to take it forward, look for a co-founder among this group and see what can be done. And we have people in the same group who are working on an IT side, so that you can get somebody on board on equity deal for the technology side. And I think you were talking about marketing. So marketing is already your strength. You can come up with those innovative ideas, how to spread the word and how to get those registered ones. Only risk, particularly from a mental health perspective, is that if those young kids get exploited through the fake account or the fake persona, that's the biggest risk. So I'm sure there will be certain intervention in terms of regulator that who can and cannot be there, how you will validate that. Otherwise, it could be there could be certain risks, and you have to come up with that how you are going to really handle those and create a confidence that anything they are going to share is confidential and their identity will not be disclosed, and they are getting a right kind of help and not the exploitation or unnecessary influence, because in those settings there's always a risk somebody can influence such a young mind or person going through that mental health crisis in a different direction or a wrong direction. Right. Anybody, thank you. But Samuel, thank you very much for sharing. I think it has generated a certain conversation here. But do look out for your co-founder. I think this is always a good idea if people are liking the idea, whether they really want to put their skin in the game and they are willing to run with you and create a company or a business out of this one. Anybody else who want to share that? Asad Rafiq, can you raise your hand so I can unmute you? Yeah, Asad, you can.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, Asad, you can. Yeah, we can. So we have 6-7 minutes. I have to be off by 7:55. Uh, Harun, you have to take over at 7:55 Pakistan time. Yeah, Asad, please. Yeah, Asad, please.
So basically, the idea is related to some sort of e-stitching thing. Like we have tailors in our country. I am not talking about corporate tailor. I am an individual who sits in a shop and stitches specifically shalwar kameez. Like he has to pay rent whether or not there is a customer or not. He has to pay shop rent. So my idea is inspired by Cream and Uber, which is launching of an app where tailor will be registered and the customer will search for stitching and place an order for stitching a suit or something else like pants and shirts, etc. So the tailor will visit the premises of the customer and took the measurement and bring that unstitched suit with himself in his home or some in his shop or whatever he wants, and then he will stitch the suit and finally deliver to the customer and collect the payment. So basically first at initially this is the idea, and in a longer term I already decided that there should be some kind of sort of measurement chip to be installed in suits, while if a customer wear a suit, his or her measurement uh, automatically taken and inserted into the database of the organization. I think this is a tech regulation. This is a data regulation and sensitive to the Data Protection Act. But it is a longer term. And initially, it is all about launching of an app. That's it from my side.
Yeah, so just to let you know, there are few websites, particularly from a fashion side, which can take your measurement remotely. So you have to just do your pictures in a couple of different directions, and they can take those measurements, and those fashion uh, app or brands, they can do the stitching based on your particular size. So they can help you to really do that one. But I think making everything as a Uber is always a great idea. You mobilize, I wouldn't say only the tailor, you can also uh, initiate a certain interest by people who have learned this thing, but they are unable to really set up their shops. So you can register them and you can bring them on board, and you can show with the star ratings or a crowd ratings. We call it the power of crowd, that which tailor is doing well, they are doing things on time, and then people can really call them nearby. There's another app which is called Ghar. That's a great app by a women-led initiative where they are trying to train young girls, the beauticians, and they go and they really deliver the services at home. And I think they have also expanded in a patient care now. So because that's something which people might be looking at. So there are certain concepts which exist out there. Haven't seen somebody as a local tailor or anybody who's working for the tailor side of it. So that's worth exploring. And for this, you don't have to really create a new technology. There are a lot of technologies which are already available, can help you do that. There are templates, there are open source programs which are available really, which can do the matchmaking, and you can utilize that one. But just going back to this group, anybody who is interested to work on that idea with Asad. So Daniel is saying it's a great idea. Unless you were talking about the ideas, I can share something which we started somewhere at the age of 14, and there are different experiments. I'm still a big investor in a agri-tech side, B2B marketplaces, education technology, and clean energy. So these are the 4 areas where I work a lot. So anybody who wants to really work with Asad on this one. Okay, Asad, do try to put that on a WhatsApp group and try to figure out that how you can work with somebody and create at least MVP to test that in the market. Anybody else who want to share? Thank you for sharing us. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, just to really remind and summarize what we discussed that and how you can deploy that in your everyday life. The 10x as a one of a mindset that when you are looking for improvement, don't look for 10, 20% improvement. whether in your personal life, in your professional life, whatever you are trying to do, your next target is either to improve it 10 times or reduce the time it takes by 10 times. So how you really going to do that? When you put the 10 times as a very specific target, that push you to think beyond the obvious and try to figure out new things. And I think where uh, where we have really seen somebody who talked about uh, that it's not necessary you do it yourself. You can also take help. Yakpat shared that initially as well. So you can look for help to really expedite that efficiency or make it 10x. So you have to really think out of the box, or you have to kill the box and come up with a totally innovative thought process how it's going to be improved 10 times. Then from a business side, it's the idea, team, and timings. These are three things you have to evaluate first and build first before you go for capital, whether it's your own capital or whether you are looking for a third party capital. But these three things have to be in order before you put the money there. Then when you are talking about the scaling, whether it's a market share, customer acquisition, or it's a top line, then look for the organizational capacity. Don't forget to invest in the organizational capacity. Otherwise, your scaling is not going to be a reality. It would be just a wishful thinking, and you would not be able to scale that fast. If you use the same mindset and the same concept in your jobs, that also change your progression within the organization, because most of the people are doing a bare minimum what their job requires them. But when you come up with the 10x concept, when you come up with the idea and the resource concept, you try to put the timings right, you improve your own communication skill to engage with the investor, which investor could be your practically your boss or your own organization, to invest in a new kind of process or a new idea or new kind of reporting, or maybe a new business segment. So I think that's where the communication skills come into play. And do not ever estimate the organizational capability. Just as a last point, uh, the the people who have got a great idea, great team, and the right timing, there's a high probability to succeed if they have got a right kind of capital. Abundance of the capital really help there, right? But just the abundance of capital without having a right idea, team, and timing, it's not going to generate any kind of returns. But with everything put together there, the capital is always an enabler. It's not a driver, but it's an enabler. So never estimate the requirement of the capital. It takes 3 years to succeed. So keep that 3-year timeline in mind. You might succeed earlier, but generally when you start, keep a 3 years plan, very clearly define that you need that kind of effort, time, or capital to really succeed. 24 months is the one where you start seeing a scale. So 25th month is the one you have to survive, and make sure when it's come to scaling, you have got enough resources to deploy for scaling. Otherwise, it's again, it's a risk there that you have got everything right, but you don't have enough resources to scale at that time. So guys, thank you very much. And before I sign off, I think I would request everybody to really go with one thing. I love myself. And that's the most important thing. Unless until you love yourself, you're not going to really rely on yourself, or you will not have that kind of confidence on your own thought process. So just if we can do collectively, I love myself. Can we do that? Yes, no? Great. I love myself. I love me.
Thank you very much, Sujit. Thank you for
Thank you.
reminding that. Uh, I think
Over to you.
in
Never forget 10x, guys. That's one of our key 10x rules. Are great. Must study that. Look at the YouTube video. Read about it. I think that will help you to really scale differently in your personal, professional life, whether you are working for someone or you are working in your own business. So thank you very much. Over to you, Haram.
Thank you very much, Sajid. Thank you very much for joining us. We understand you're having a sore throat. You still, delivered an excellent session. I think very insightful, very thought provoking. I'm sure all of you really enjoyed. Now it's time for our WhatsApp group. Share the findings, share the learnings in that group so other people can learn as well. I hope this session and the sessions to come are going to excite you even further, even more about business ideas. Thank you all very much. Take good care of yourself, and see you next time. Take care.